Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to welcome Jeremy Klump on right now. Thank you, sir, for giving us some of your time to have a little chin wag. Like I said, we like to get people across the pond on, so it's always good. We're just going to talk MMA. I suppose it helps being an MMA podcast. But firstly, why don't you pitch out there to people about what you do then? Because you don't just write about MMA anyway. So go on, give people a little introduction about yourself.
Yeah, I do MMA. Obviously, I'm the editor at Fansided's Cage Pages. We do obviously MMA because Cage Pages, and then I also cover the Philadelphia Eagles for Fansided's NFL Spin Zone, and now I'm also working the NFL Draft as well. So pretty busy guy. MMA, NFL, two of my favorite things in the world, other than my fiance and my baby. So yeah, that's pretty much me right now. That's all I do. I'm daddy duty, fiance duty, NFL, and MMA, man. That's my life.
So the missus and the kid are like a close third.
Yeah, close third, maybe fourth. Yeah, she'll hear this now. Now she's going to kill me when she hears that. But you're number one, Taylor, I promise.
Hey, do you know what? Even I've brought Jeremy on, even though I'm a San Diego Chargers fan. Look at that. How kind am I? Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, you said Chargers?
Yeah, man, I'm a Chargers fan.
Hey, it's not too bad, though. I like... Thank you for your offensive coordinator, though. Philly signed him. That's going to be a good signing. I think he was the scapegoat there, so that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, there is. I know I could talk about the NFL as well, my friend. I do. Even though I am British, I got into the NFL. I am absorbed into it now. It's something I love doing. I love staying awake till the silly hours on a Sunday morning watching the playoffs. But we'll get into MMA, and let's go on, and we'll jump into the recent fight night that we had. Let's have a little chat about that, about the results now. Because to be honest with you, I thought we were really lucky to get Dillashaw and Cruz on a fight night card, but I understood why they did it, because they can't afford to put that card on a pay-per-view due to Cruz's unreliability of staying healthy.
Yeah, for sure. Those injuries are a big problem there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's injured again, so we have no clue the extent to that foot injury and what's going to happen. So I completely agree with you. It makes sense that they'd put it on the card because, if he would come out, they could just fill someone in and they're not losing a bunch of money promoting the fight. Like McGregor-Aldo, they promoted the crap out of that and then he pulled out. That kind of would be the warning for them with putting Cruz on a big pay-per-view like that. So I agree with you. Yeah,
and you know what? I think the card as a whole, it was a great card, and I enjoyed the results. There was some standout performances, and I tell you who's standing out for me at the moment. It's like a rejuvenation of this man at 170, Patrick Cote.
Yeah, Patrick Cote, that was a huge win. Like I told you before we went on the show, I was on the Parting Shot podcast. I did pick him to win. He is rejuvenated. He's been looking great in there, and that was just an awesome win. He went in there and absolutely dominated. So I'm looking forward to see who he's going against next.
Yeah, he was asking for Nick Diaz, which I don't see that happening because I think with Nick Diaz, they'll want to use him for the kind of potential title fights, perennial contenders like that. Which
big name guys.
It is. Yeah.
Not that he's not a big name guy, but you know what I mean, like a selling point guy, a guy that's gonna get the UFC a lot more money than Patrick Cote will.
Yeah, well, that's the crazy thing, Cote. People who don't quite cotton on to who he is, or who are new to MMA. This guy was fighting at the middleweight division for the title. It was it's insane to think about it when you look back at who he is and what he's done. I'm seriously impressed with what he's done, and the same with Herman going up to 205.
Oh yeah, Herman, that was a big win as well. I mean, he went out there also, just like Cote. I think he won by TKO as well, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I think he might have got the performance of the night for that one. He did get the performance of the night.
Yeah.
He went out there. That was an incredible performance as well. He was knocking him down. He was landing some crazy good shots. So good for him as well. Like you said, it's pretty incredible to see these guys, still doing well like this.
Yeah, and I think you saw with Boach and him going up to 205 was the fact that IV ban is playing a factor. I think a load of guys around the 185 might skip up to the 205 division, but also I think the 205 division, it isn't that stacked. So it might be a wise decision to go into that division as well.
Yeah, I agree. It's not stacked at all. I went to school in Ithaca College up there in upstate New York, and John Jones actually lived literally like right down the road from me. So I'm a big John Jones guy. We used to go out to the bar and stuff and hang out. So, I'm always pulling for John Jones. And when you look at that division, I mean, you can't really sit there and say Daniel Cormier is the true champion. I will never say he's the true champion. If he beats John Jones, then he is. But other than that, I mean, Ryan Bader, he's on that win streak, but the UFC clearly feels the same way we do, that the division's not too great because that win streak really didn't get him much. He's not even getting a title shot because John Jones obviously came back. But yeah, that division, I think it'll be good if those guys bump up. I think it'll add some more competition to it, and maybe we'll start getting that 205 division bumping again.
Yeah, I think I love the 205 division at one point, and then it seems to be it's a bit of a slump, really. They do need possibly new fresh blood from, if they look outskirts of, if they look into Europe. I know KSW have got a good couple of 205ers, and even elsewhere, just to fill it out a bit more. But we might see new signings when the UFC go to Croatia and Holland, or the Netherlands, as you want to call it. So they might bring in some new faces.
There's nothing wrong with bringing in new faces. You never know what could happen. I mean, they could bring in a guy and he could end up being the next big thing.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I love about it. You might get a name that we know of, but we don't know too much about, and then it certainly just tears it up. Well, we'll talk about... I'll tell you what fight I loved. I saw it as a potential pink slipper. The Herman Boach fight, I think, was a pink slip fight as well, because obviously Boach is, he's on a bit of a tough run. I think he's now lost 3 in a row. Herman got the win. I think for Boach, he's possibly going to get cut now. Because I don't know where to go with him.
Yeah, he might get cut, and I like the idea of the pink slip fights. Another one that comes to mind, I mean, Boach has 3 fights in a row he lost now, so it could be it. But, I mean, Herman, he's a new monster now at 205, so we'll see if the UFC kind of weighs into that. Another fight that was a pink slip fight, though, going off that, that Felder-Cruikshank fight.
Yes.
I felt that was definitely a pink slip fight for, maybe not Felder. I mean, Felder, he's my boy and all from Philly, but I don't think the UFC would have got rid of him if he lost again, because, I mean, he's lost to 2, phenomenal fighters in that division, and they were not bad losses. Those are one of those fights when you lose, you're still a winner, because, the UFC will bump you up.
Yes.
But Cruikshank, now, that's 3 submission losses in a row, and this one was devastating. I mean, he was beating Paul Felder. Paul Felder knew that he needed to win, and I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if his corner... wanted him to coast or what it was, but Felder just manhandled him in the 3rd round. I mean, took him down at will, got his back, and then I don't know why he stood up. He decided to stand up, and Felder just... I'm pretty sure that... I've watched Paul Felder fight a lot in my lifetime. I mean, Paul Felder has been one of my favorite fighters. He's a CFFC guy, so I've actually watched him fight before he made it to the UFC, and a lot of people don't know that, his spinning back fist knockout, it was amazing, but he had a better knockout the fight to get into the UFC. It was a spinning heel kick, and it was so nasty, but that was just a tangent. I apologize. But Felder has never won by submission. So it's not like Paul Felder's this crazy submission artist who goes out there and he's choking people out. That was a big-time loss for Cruikshank, and I would not be surprised if he got released. Or he could even got released today. I haven't even read up on any news because, that's devastating right there.
Yeah, I haven't heard that he's been cut yet, but I agree with you. Simple fact is, like you say, he lost 3 in a row. All 3 of them rear naked chokes, and you think to yourself, how on earth have you not sat there and went, I need to maybe work on my rear naked choke defence? I understand the first loss, which was against Beneil Dariush, who is a legit, absolute monster on the ground, and I have to admit, that was one hell of a fight that Dariush had against Cruikshank. Dariush had the better strike, and when he got him to the ground, it was like watching a wizard on the ground to slap in that submission. It was one of the best submissions I saw all year. But then to go on and do it again and again, I just think, how are you not sharpening up your game? He also, he did tire off in the 3rd round as well, and I thought, how can you not have the conditioning to do 3 rounds?
Yeah, it can't be conditioned to do 3 rounds, and knowing that if you do lose, that could be your pink slip.
Yeah.
I don't care how tired I am. I'm not letting the wind I'm sucking get to me there. I'm going to push through that, and try to walk away with a victory there, because that was a victory he needed, and I'm sure he's still feeling that loss today, because it's definitely looking like he's getting his pink slip.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he needs to go away and maybe work on a couple of things, and he could potentially come back, because he's a talented striker. You see, that's the thing. He's a talented fighter. He's just got holes in his game. He's not closing them up. It's like one guy that, like I said, that beat Felder was Ross Pearson. Now, when I saw the fight, I didn't like the fight straight away. I thought Trinaldo is just a nightmare of a fighter in the fact that he can grind out a win. This guy, Trinaldo, can grab you and pin you down and just grind out 3 rounds, almost like Evan Dunham did to Ross Pearson in Scotland. I thought it was going to be like that, but in the fight, it was a lot of Trinaldo was using his kickboxing background, Muay Thai background, where he was counter striking a lot of the fight, but it wasn't a super impressive performance. The problem was, I found that Ross Pearson just fell into the punches, and again, it's showing Ross Pearson's inconsistency. It's like he's lost this fight. He won the last one. He hasn't had a 3-fight win streak, I think, for like nearly 5 years now in the UFC.
Yeah, that was a big loss for him. I thought it would go a little differently though as well. I honestly thought Trinaldo. I picked Trinaldo to win by knockout, because he's been doing well.
Yeah,
but. Pearson there, it wasn't his night. I mean, the first round was slow. They both started slow. I think maybe there was only around 30 strikes. I might even be over there. I think there was something under that. I remember reading that there was not a lot of strikes in the first round. But then the second round, Trinaldo really turned it on. He was opening up. He was countering well, like you said. It just, I don't know, Ross Pearson just seems to not be able to put it all together, like you said. He can't get that streak going. I think since 2014, he's one loss.
Yeah.
He wins, he loses, he wins. It's just, it's been rough for him. I don't really know what the UFC does with him now at this point. I mean, where do you go with Ross Pearson? I mean, it's not like he's going on a big streak here. He's going to be fighting for the lightweight title. I don't know. He's a hard matchup now. I don't think he'll get his pink slip. He's not that, but definitely not a good day to be Ross Pearson in the UFC. I don't see. He'll probably get maybe like a UFC newcomer, someone like an undefeated prospect. They'll try to get him against a name or something. That'd be a good matchup. But then again, he wins. Then what do you do with him? You can't put him against someone good. He just can't seem to put it together.
No, I see him as like maybe he's fallen into that Gleason Tebow position of being a gatekeeper. Where he's the kind of guy that if you can get past Ross Pearson, you can push yourself into the top 15 kind of ranking. Then you can start looking to progress your career. And I think it's a shame because, like that Sam Stout fight and just stuff like that, you just saw the potential in him, and then he just, like you say, just falls short every now and then. You think, I don't know, maybe he needs to go away from Alliance. Maybe go at a different gym. Maybe look at a couple of things. Maybe add to his game at a different gym. It's not to have a go at the gym that he's at. It's just maybe he needs to go somewhere else to maybe add stuff to him. Yeah, no, and let me. I might be wrong, but I'm just thinking here. Alliance was Jury and Case and all. Then they left Alliance, correct, and went to Power. Yeah. Or was it the other way around? Yeah. No, yeah. I now that I got that right, I actually talked to both of those guys, Jury and Case. And, they're big-time guys in the UFC now. Johnny Case just got his fight book. I mean, Miles Jury lost his featherweight debut, but Miles Jury, I mean, he's a beast. Yeah. So why are these guys leaving and he's staying? That's definitely a question. I mean, the age could be a factor. I mean, maybe, I don't know, though. He definitely, I like that idea. I think he should leave Alliance and see where he can go. I mean, maybe make the move to Power with all those guys. Yeah. Even though Jury lost. I don't blame Power for that loss, but, no. I mean, you got to do something. Clearly something isn't right at Alliance to have, big-time UFC fighters like Johnny Case, Miles Jury leaving, and when they talk about their new gym, they're telling me, oh, I love that the coaches, they care about us, they're helping. Like, it just seemed like something was off. They didn't really want to speak out against them, but I'm not trying to, start a rumor here or anything. It just seemed like something was really, really off there for them, like the connection with the fighters and the coaches. So maybe that's definitely a move for him. Trinaldo, though, 37 years old. It's crazy to see him going into this hot streak. It's crazy, isn't it? Hey, good for him. Some people he's like fine wine. He's like wine. He gets, better as he gets older. Yeah. Good for him, though. I mean, he has been, crushing people. He had a great 2015, 3-0 in 2015, and then kicks off 2016 with another big win, and it was an easy win. He coasted to a victory.
I mean, what do you do next with him? I mean, he's an older guy, like you said, but if he's winning fights like this, you got to get him a bigger name, right?
Yeah, you got to push him up a little bit quicker than you, like your Romero, for example. You have to push him a bit quicker because time is ticking. You know, you've only got, like, say 3-4 fights a year. They don't want to miss out on a potential, contender. If they've got a potential contender there, they want to get him up there quickly because if you only get one stab at it, that's all he gets.
Do you feel that the UFC doesn't really think he's a potential contender, though? Do you think he's just been winning these fights and they don't see him as a guy that's going to really challenge for the title?
I think they, at first, when he first came into the UFC, I think they maybe thought that, especially with the age thing, and now that he's got on this resurgence, I think they might have to maybe look at this a bit differently then. I think they might need to accept that we need to give him like a top 15 guy next and take him seriously. And if he beats a top 15 guy, maybe push him up to a top 10 guy, and then see how he fares there. I think they should really, by the end of this year, if he does go and win a few fights, I think he should maybe be pushing to fight a top 5 guy.
Yeah, what about Dustin Poirier maybe? I mean, he just beat Joe Duffy.
Yeah.
So maybe give him someone, I mean, I don't know if Poirier bumped up, but I think last time I saw he was 12th. But maybe give him, Dustin Poirier, Trinaldo. I mean, hey, he wins that fight. Then like you said, you got to give him even better.
Yeah.
Give him up there. Give him a top 10 guy. Give him someone. I mean, Michael Johnson. He needs a fight. I think he was tweeting at someone trying to get a fight. I think he was tweeting at Pettis.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Give him Michael Johnson.
Yeah.
There you go. If he can beat that's a ways away. But I mean, if he goes in there and you give him up against Dustin Poirier, he beats Dustin Poirier. You can't deny this man his chance to go run for that title.
No, that's what I agree with you as well. I know the UFC try to bring in names and they want to get fighters and brand them when they're younger, so they can. There's a bit more time to do it with. But I think if a guy, even if he's 37, it doesn't matter. I think you should give him a chance and, like you say, push him a bit faster. Then push him up a couple more fights because the guy's not exactly new to the sport. He's had a fair few fights. He doesn't need to be nurtured to a title shot.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it'd be good to get him a bigger fight. Like I said, Poirier is a name that I like now. I just mentioned that on here. Haven't even thought about it. I love that matchup. I want to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, Poirier might not want that because obviously he's showing that he deserves a bigger fight. But Dustin Poirier loves the fight at the same time, so you never know. Yeah,
and I tell you what, I'm loving Dustin Poirier back at 155. I think he's looking phenomenal.
Yeah, Dustin Poirier is a new, he's a new man too.
Yeah.
He's on a resurgence, and he is he's ready to go. I mean, he was pumped up after that victory over Poirier, or over Duffy.
Yeah.
And look for him to. I mean, he is looking to make his run in the lightweight division as well. That division's stacked. They got some studs in there. I mean, look at Eddie Alvarez just beat Anthony Pettis. It may have been a boring fight, but hey, that was his game plan. He went in there and he stuck to his game plan, and in my opinion, I mean, I'm a Philly guy, so I love my Philly fighters. But he dominated Anthony Pettis. He went in there, and Anthony Pettis did not look like the Anthony Pettis we're used to seeing.
Dude, I am with you on that. I think Anthony Pettis, even though he's been away doing the wrestling and working on his wrestling, I still just think that Eddie Alvarez just figured him out from the first round and his game plan and stuck to it. And do you know what? People say, it's a boring fight. No, it's not. It's not a boring fight. If Anthony Pettis can't get Eddie Alvarez off him when he's on the cage, it's not a boring fight. It's a great fight. It shows that Eddie Alvarez is so dominant that Anthony Pettis is stuck and can't even figure this out. And Anthony Pettis will have to sit there for that whole 15 minutes and go, I can't do this. I need another 6 more weeks to figure this out. And do you know what?
Yeah.
And he's got a huge hole in his game. Clay Guida basically exposed it from day one. And guys that fought Pettis after Guida just didn't go and stick to that game plan. And do you know what? I know with the Benson Henderson win, he got the armbar, but I tell you what, if you can just grind Pettis down, he just does not like it. He likes his space. He likes to set up his shots. You grind him away, he's got enough. He's really limited in his arsenal.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, there was one fight that everyone wanted to see. I wanted to see it. Him versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. I can't even say his name, but you know,
Khabib.
You know what stinks? You know what's funny about that is I used to work for Mike Constantino, his old manager too. I don't know if he still represents him, but and I used to be able to say that name like a pro. And right now, it's been a long day, but that's a fight I don't even want to entertain anymore. I don't want to see Anthony Pettis fight him. He's gonna get grinded away. It's gonna be terrible. I mean, look what he did. Look what Khabib did to freaking RDA. That's like. Well, I don't want to see Anthony Pettis get beat up now. I mean, What do you do with Anthony Pettis? That's a hard decision. Maybe do Anthony Pettis, Dustin Poirier. Look at me. I'm Dustin Poirier's PR guy right now. I'm trying to get him fights.
I'd say with Anthony Pettis, yeah, it is one of them ones. A friend of mine, do you know what? I messaged on our Facebook page about this. I said, what does Anthony Pettis do? And someone said, Barboza, both coming off a loss. But the thing is, you're going to get a good fight because they're both stand-up guys. And you'll get a hell of a good fight. And I thought, you know what? That would be one hell of a fight.
That would be. I like it, but again, I'm Dustin Poirier's PR guy today. I would like to see Dustin Poirier take him on. I mean, they're going to throw down and bang. That's what I mean. The UFC, especially, that's a fight that they could feel comfortable. I mean, I know the UFC will never admit that they like to take care of their big name guys, but that's a fight that they could feel comfortable with, knowing that maybe there's a chance that Austin Pettis, that's an NFL receiver, maybe Anthony Pettis can go out there and get a win, and then if not, then you got a brand new star born again with Dustin Poirier if he gets a victory. I like the Barboza fight though as well. I mean, Barboza's a beast in himself. I'm going back to Felder. Him and Felder's fight though, that was just a show of showing how great Edson Barboza's striking is. I mean, it is world class. That would be an awesome fight, him versus Pettis.
Yeah, I'd like to see him versus Pettis because I'd like to see Michael Johnson and Dustin Poirier.
I like that. There you go. Michael Johnson's, he's trying his best. I saw his tweets, Anthony Pettis, but I mean, I don't know. I still feel bad. Every time I hear Michael Johnson's name, I think of one thing. I think of that awful. I mean, I think everyone had that as their worst decision of the year because it was definitely the worst decision I've seen in a long, long time against Beneil Dariush.
Oh man, yeah, that was man. Oh yeah, I'm with you on that. It was a bad decision, but gotta feel bad for him. I do feel bad. You know what? That's the thing. I love Dariush as well. I think he's a really talented 155er. He's got so much potential in him, and his striking because he's at King's MMA, isn't it? He's training there. His striking's coming on great. Rafael Cordeira's doing great work with him, and I think he's doing so well. He's getting pushed up too quick. I think his striking needs a little bit more time to evolve because his grappling's already there. He's already there with the grappling. He's a world class grappler. I think his striking's nearly there. With Johnson, I was gutted for him. I think, I like that. I like Johnson versus Poirier, and I like, Pettis and Barboza. That would be sick.
I like those two. That'd be good. Put them on the same card, too. That make us both happy.
Exactly.
I like that.
I think that would be absolutely awesome. Yeah, we'll just give Joe Silva a call. We'll tell him. We'll say we'll do your work for the weekend. We'll give you a day off.
That's good. I like that. I'm sure Joe Silva would appreciate that. I'm sure he's a busy man. I couldn't imagine. I always think about this. I always hear people say, "Yeah, I texted Joe Silva to get this fight." Imagine Joe Silva's phone in a day with all these guys trying to get fights. Hey, I want to fight this guy. I want to fight this guy. It's got to be a hard job. I mean, that's got to be frustrating.
Imagine him and Shelby just sitting there going, "How many messages did you get today?" and just having a message off.
Oh man,
I've spent some time with Sean Shelby, and he's a top bloke to be fair. But I just kind of was like, I even said to him before, I can't imagine your job. I couldn't imagine that. Just the guy's hound. So Eddie Alvarez, for example, wants a title shot now. He wants to, he wants to be that next in line. So he's just going to be harping on to Joe Silva to give him that shot.
Oh man, that's got to be frustrating. I couldn't imagine getting a text every day. And I mean, they, like you said, the amount of messages they probably get, oh man, that would be frustrating. I mean, I get frustrated enough when I don't go to my phone for an hour and I come back, I got 15 text messages, 5 emails and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm a nobody compared to them. Imagine their phones. Oh. They probably come back to over 100 text messages some days if they leave their phones.
I know they're going to have what's it called when you've arthritis in their thumbs?
What is it?
Arthritis in their thumbs from texting all day, replying.
Arthritis. Arthritis. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure one fighter from UFC Boston was giving him a text. Travis Brown. I mean, he had a big win. I mean, it was controversial. Say what you want. I mean, the eye pokes played a factor into the fight, if you want to say they did. But at the same time, I mean, he was that third round. He was in a rhythm. What do you think?
Yeah, I was impressed with the fight. I thought the pair of them for Mitrione though. I was a bit frustrated with his tactic of lunging in with the striking. Like he loaded up and then ran forward with the striking. Now I know because of his NFL background, he's got really good explosive power to come in with the strikes, and he did. To be fair, he did catch Brown a couple of times, but I wish he would set them up a lot more than he did, because he just didn't set some of the strikes up, which led to, one of them led to that eye poke and stuff like that. I think for Brown, he broke his orbital bone in the third round. Mitrione's orbital bone in the third round. It was that punch, that right hand just opened him up, and it was a good win. I think there was another injury that Matt Mitrione had as well. He said that, I can't remember what it was now. He had another injury that forced him to basically fall apart. But when he was in mount, Mitrione just didn't look like he could get out of the mount position. I thought, why are you not booking? Why are you not trying to get to half guard? Or he looked like after the Brendan Shrub fight, when he got tapped out, I thought maybe you would learn a bit more jits in your game and add a bit more technical aspect. It really frustrates me when fighters can't get out of that mount. I think, why are you not booking for your life? Why are you not jumping up going crazy with your hips to try and get this guy off you? And I know they're heavyweights and they're heavy, but you should be trained to get those guys off you.
Yeah, it is frustrating. I mean, it's hard for us to say, though, too, because, sitting at home, I watch a lot of fights, and I'm like, oh, do this, do that, and then I catch myself. I'm like, what am I saying, man? I couldn't do any of that anyway, so I don't know. I mean, it's probably tough, like you said, with the heavyweights on top of them. So, I mean, I've never even, done anything like that, so I couldn't really comment on, what he could do.
I compete myself, so I can. So, even though I'm not UFC standard, but I have been, I train, obviously, when I'm in mount. I've had guys, pummeling me while we train to get out of it. And it's one of them ones where you can get out, because when a guy's throwing strikes, their balance isn't there, because they're cocking back and they're loading up to come forward. There is a shift in their body weight where you can use it against them. And when you book, it's really hard when you're on top trying to punch someone. If the guy below you is booking and he's thrusting the hips and moving, your centre of balance is gone. So it's really difficult to land good strikes. It's really off-putting. Sometimes you have to put your hand down. And it just seemed like he didn't go for any of that. And that's what was frustrating. Travis Brown, no one's talking about Glendale right now because he won. I think if Travis Brown had lost, you would have had a lot of people talking about Edmund and Glendale, Jim, and, Ronda Rousey. I think as soon as if he had lost, that's all you would have heard.
Oh, dude, that's I actually interviewed him before the fight, and we talked a little bit about that. I mean, it gets to the point where, I get frustrated. I mean, Travis Brown is his own self. I mean, I understand he's got a personal life. He's got his domestic abuse stuff. He's got Ronda Rousey. He's got the trainer, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm a lot different when it comes to the media world. I understand he's got all his personal things, but I look at Travis Brown. I cover the sport. He's a fighter.
Yeah.
And I like talking about him fighting. So we talked about it. I mean, it's frustrating. He gets a knockout, and you got people like, oh, I bet he hit his wife like that. Like, oh my God. Like, you got better things to do with your day than tweet something stupid like that. Like, can't you just congratulate the guy on a big win in his career? And that's a huge win. I mean, he cements himself as one of those guys now. He's going to be top 5. He should be top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, who do you give him next? I mean, you got Overeem. They said, Stipe's getting the next title shot. I interviewed Ben Rothwell last night. He wants a title shot. I mean, the heavyweight division went from, in my opinion, being kind of boring to, Ben Rothwell gets his victory. He's on a streak. Travis Brown's on a streak. Overeem, Stipe, you got Kane Verdum. I mean, it might get picked up here, and this heavyweight division might be interesting to watch again.
I think it was a good thing Verdum winning. I think that made a big difference because it opened up a lot more matches, a lot more fights. I think though with Brown, I don't think he gets a title yet. I don't think he should be there, like you say. Stipe, his title shot, that's fine. He goes next. I think with Rothwell, again, you could argue Rothwell because Rothwell's been on a tear. All he's doing is beating guys. All he keeps doing is winning. It seems like the UFC don't really like Rothwell for some reason. I don't know what it is, but I just kind of get the feeling.
Yeah, that is kind of weird too, because he was a fun interview. I was laughing yesterday. He was calling people out and stuff. I mean, I don't know, man. He wins this fight. That's 4 in a row. How do you take a guy that's on a 4-fight win streak? I mean, and if he gets a finish, that is 4 straight finishes in a row, too, in the heavyweight division, which, obviously heavyweights have probably the highest finish rate. I'm not going to say that because I've never fact-checked it, but let's be real. Heavyweights finish fights.
Yeah.
And then you're going to sit there, and what do you do with him? You give him a lame fight? I mean, he definitely deserves a big one. Stipe's on a 2-fight win streak.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great fight. He knocked out Andre Arlovski right away, but maybe Ben Rothwell, Stipe, why not put them together? And that might end up happening, though, because they did say he gets the next title shot. But that's not saying, what if Kane gets the victory? I mean, if Kane wins, Stipe gets the next title shot, right? They said him?
Well, I think...
Correct.
Well, do you know what? We can't go off what the UFC say, because you know what they're like with changing their minds. I think, depending on... Let's say Verdum wins. I think UFC will do possibly Verdum, Stipe. If it was me, I would do Overeem, Rothwell.
There you go. I like that. Overeem, Rothwell. I mean, one thing with Overeem is he was like Ross Pearson for a while. He couldn't get a streak together. He was winning fights, losing fights. And now he's on a 3-fight win streak, so why not? Let's put them in there. And then, there you go. I mean, it's good for the UFC to have problems like this, though. I mean, we're sitting here, we're picking fights for him, but that's a good problem for the UFC to have all these guys. I mean, it stinks for the guys that don't get the title shot. I mean, look at Frankie Edgar right now.
Yeah.
That's rough, but, I mean, this is a good problem for the UFC to have. That means fighters are getting on streaks. We got big-name guys getting ready to go against big-name guys. Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of good fights in 2016.
Yeah. So I think, like I said those matchups, and then I think for Brown, Junior Dos Santos.
Say what you said again, I apologize.
Travis Brown, Junior Dos Santos.
There you go, why not? Yeah, I like Travis Brown. I think Travis Brown is a good fighter. I mean, he's got caught on the short end of some big shots, but I would like to see that. I mean, Dos Santos is coming off a loss to Overeem.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
Is he?
Yeah, he got finished with that. Well, it was a TKO. It was classed as, I believe, because he got cracked with that left, but he was getting up. But it was probably on groggy legs. I think the referee stopped the fight to stop further possible punishment because you don't know how bad it would have got. And I agree with it. And for Junior Dos Santos, he's at that stage where he's probably not going to get a title shot again. In my opinion, I think he's had too many of those fights against Cain Velasquez. His corner. It's his corner's fault for not throwing that towel in sooner.
Yeah, and he also beat Stipe, I'm pretty sure. And,
yes. And
that was not too far long ago. I mean, it was 2014, but it was the end of 2014.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Junior Dos Santos, this is good. This is good for the heavyweight division. I am excited that we are even having conversations like this about who should be fighting, because for the longest time, everyone was saying the heavyweight division was dead, and now look at it. I mean, we got guys, the top 7 guys, top 8 guys, I mean, they are easy, all of them, title contenders.
And the thing is, Josh Barnett, he can actually beat Ben Rothwell. That's like, we're talking like Ben has won, but the thing is, Josh Barnett, look how good he looked in physical shape against Roy Nelson, and how good he just looked. Like, he's taking it seriously. He's like sitting there going, do you know what? I need to sort myself out. He got in great condition for that fight against Roy Nelson. I hope he turns up again like that against Rothwell. Because I tell you what, you could see Josh Barnett drag down Ben Rothwell, because Rothwell showed his wrestling ain't up to scratch against Cain Velasquez when Cain just threw him around like a ragdoll. If you get Josh Barnett doing his old school, get the wrestling, grab him, get him down, and just use his catch wrestling submission game, you could see that happen.
Yeah. I think if he can get this victory, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, you got Rothwell then, who, I mean, you can't throw Rothwell away. He was on a 4-fight, what is it? It would have been a 3-fight win streak, would have been 4. You can't throw him away. You got to give him someone good then. Then maybe you give him Junior Dos Santos, both of them coming off losses. Yeah. And then you give Rothwell Brown, and then,
Barnett
Brown Overeem.
Oh no, we've done Barnett Brown, haven't we? You see, so yeah, you could maybe do. You've done Overeem and Brown, but then again, that's the thing. The heavyweight division, it will fall into rematches again at some point, because the way that there's only certain guys in there, eventually the rematches have to happen again.
Yeah, I'm excited. I just like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it. Sound like I don't even know. I'm just on repeat right now. I am excited that divisions like the heavyweight division, the lightweight division, they are having good problems with having to talk about who needs matchups where. And we got guys winning fights. And like I said, 2016, there's going to be some awesome fight cards in 2016. I feel like a lot of people don't realize that, but there's going to be some fight cards that, I mean, I am pumped for. I am so excited for some of these fight cards that are coming up. They're not even announced yet.
No.
But you just know that there's going to be some big ones.
Well, I was thinking as well. I thought UFC 200 is going to be amazing. Then I thought to myself, hang on a minute. There's cards. There's probably going to be cards better than UFC 200. And there's so, like you say, there's so many great potential matchups. Well, look at the main event they had, which was Cruz and Dillashaw. The 135 division, at one point I was thinking, where are these contenders coming from? But then you think, Asun Sao is coming back from injury. You know, he's a name that obviously went off into the abyss because of the long-term injury that he's had. You get him back in the mix. If they get their head screwed on and get Aljamain and Sterling signed up again, great contender as well, back in that division. Uriah Faber's spitting his name out there. I just love the fact that division's starting to get these names again, and you think, I can't wait for the 135 division as well.
Yeah, the bantamweight division is stacked too. I like that. I mean, Aljamain Sterling is obviously someone that they need to get back because he is a title contender. I'm excited to see where he's going to go next. I think Faber, I mean, everyone wants the rematch. I don't know if you want a rematch with Cruz and Dillashaw. I personally don't, because Dominic Cruz kind of Conor McGregor, TJ Dillashaw on the way, where he told him that you're not going to be able to hit me as much. I'm going to move around. You can't hit a stationary target. I'm going to beat you this way, and he beat him the exact way he said he was going to beat him. Mm-hmm. And we have no clue what's wrong with Cruz's foot, so I don't know if they should really hold Dillashaw up. Maybe TJ Dillashaw, Uriah Faber while Cruz is out. I'm okay with that. I mean, I saw Dillashaw saying Faber didn't help him out on Fox Sports 1, and now I think who's Dillashaw's coach? For some reason I'm forgetting his name.
Dwayne Ludwig.
Yeah, Ludwig is saying, I helped him out more. I mean, they're starting a little drama here, so why not? If Cruz is hurt, I hope the UFC lets him take his rest. I mean, I know he's notorious for his injuries and stuff, but let him heal up. Dillashaw, Faber, and then Sterling and who we got? Barao, we got Michael McDonald. Isn't he coming off a big
McDonald, win? Yeah, Michael McDonald beat, was it Mizugatti he fought? Yeah? No, it wasn't Mizugatti.
Awesome submission, I remember it.
It wasn't Mizugatti, it was Kane. Oh, it was Kane something. Oh, fucking hell. I can't remember. Sorry, I can't remember the name now. But again, he got put in a head and arm choke, got out of the head and arm choke, and then slapped on the rear naked straight away.
Yeah, no, there you go. I mean, again, this is just good things for us to be talking about. I would love a Dillashaw Faber. That is a fight I am tuning in to see. I don't care if it's $100, like Money Mayweather Pacquiao. I would love to see those two fight because that's real. Yes. That's real beef right there. I mean, some of these fights, they get built up, and you sit there, you're like, oh, yeah, look, they don't like each other. But, I mean, what do they really not like about each other? They don't even know each other. These two guys know each other, and they do not like each other now. I would love to see that fight.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, you know, no one really brought, even though Dillashaw lost, no one really brought up that Dillashaw left to a new gym and stuff like that. And no one's bringing that into context. And it's nice that people are talking about the fact that they're celebrating that Cruz won, like as in the reason Dillashaw lost was because Cruz performed so well. And I'm interested to see how Cruz does with a fucking full fit foot. His foot is not injured. Because I thought it was the leg. I thought it was the leg kicks like everyone else did during the fight, and I thought, it must be his leg. But then when he talked about that, my heart sank a bit when he spoke about his foot, because I thought, how long are you out for now? No,
it's rough. I hate that. Injuries are part of the sport, but that's a guy that injury bug just comes around. It's like flu season for him. He's guaranteed to get it. Yeah. It stinks because, as you saw, I mean, he is dominant. I picked him to win it. I honestly just had that weird feeling. I mean, he's a freak, man. He just moves. His footwork is phenomenal. His head movement. I mean, there was a time when TJ Dillashaw was throwing head kicks, and I think every one of them were just like brushing the top of his hair. He was just ducking under him. Yeah. He looked phenomenal in there. And I mean, like he said, no ring rust at all. No. That was just, it was a performance that's one of those things you watch and it's so pretty, man. It's an art. It really is. Yeah. And watching him move around in there was just so much fun. So I hope he's not injured bad. I felt sick too when he said it. I'm like, here we go. But hopefully, maybe it's just something little. I mean, he said it was plantar fasciitis, I think he said. So hopefully, is that what he said? Did he say that?
I'm not sure if he said what it was. If he did, I haven't read it yet. Sorry, I don't know. I think
I heard. I might be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But I thought he said something about his some plantar fasciitis or something in his post-fight interview right after he won. Right. I'll have to look it up then when we get off. But if it is, I mean, that could be best case scenario as long as he didn't tear his plantar fascia or whatever it's
during
called.
the fight, yeah. We hopefully
that's a bad injury.
Yeah, hopefully he hasn't done any worse in the fight because, like you say, fighters do go with injuries, and with Cruz, I was sitting there the whole time thinking, I just wanted that fight to happen, and he did do what he said he was going to do, like you say, and it was beautiful to watch. Like, Dillashaw was just kept missing these shots, and you saw from after the first round 2 and 3. He was flat-footed, Dillashaw. He was looking just really kind of frustrated and just loading up with his shots, which made it even easier for Cruz. And like I admit, it was a super tight decision. And if Dillashaw had won the decision, I wouldn't have said it was daylight robbery. I think it was a really tight decision. It was because the stats showed it as well. It showed there was hardly anything in it really. But when you look at how much Dillashaw threw to how much he landed, it showed that there was a beautiful evasion from Cruz.
Yeah, no, he was just moving under everything. And I know you said you wouldn't have thought it was a robbery. I would have been upset. I mean, a lot of people on Twitter, for some odd reason, were flipping out that there was a 49-46 score for Dillashaw. For Cruz, which confused me because Dillashaw had a 49-46, and oh my God, I was so confused. There was a couple big name guys. I'm not going to call any writers out, but there was a couple big name writers that I respect in this industry that were complaining about Cruz's big score and acting as if Dillashaw's 49-46 was any bit better. I mean, there was no way. I don't see any way that TJ Dillashaw had a 49-46 at all. No. So I would have been up, especially if they would have made it 49-46s across the board for Dillashaw. I would have been sick to my stomach because.
Same here. I thought there was no. I don't know how they got that. I thought 3-2. I watched the fight twice. First time I watched it, I was watching it as like a fanboy, just watching in awe of how enjoyable it was. And I do that every time. I watch every card I watch. I think I'm going to watch this as a fanboy because I can't watch it and technically break it down because I won't enjoy it. I want to enjoy that when it's live. I want to enjoy it, but then I watch them back and go, awesome. Right? Okay, let's see. Mute the volume. Take away the volume. Let's just watch and just see what's going on. And that's what I like to do myself, to break it down. I find it a bit easier to break it down because I think I miss things as well the first time round that you don't quite think about the first time. Like there's little things I miss out, and I thought. I scored it again. I was writing down notes on the fights and what I saw, and I did give it Cruz. I gave it 3-2 to Cruz.
Yeah, that's how I had it. I had a 3-2 to Cruz. I thought it was a good fight. Dillashaw, would you give him 4 and 5? Dillashaw?
No, I gave. Oh yes, no, I did actually. I think I did. Yeah, because I gave 1, 2, and 3 Cruz. Yeah. Those
and then 4 to 5. Dillashaw turned on. The fourth round was Dillashaw's round. I mean, I thought that was definitely a turning point for him in the fight. It was just too little, too late. I mean, if he would have done that round 3, oh man, could you imagine that 5th round with both of them going in 2-2? That would have been nice. That would have been awesome.
And the thing was, I thought the leg kicks that he was throwing in the latter rounds, I thought to myself, why was that not part of the game plan originally with Cruz to slow him down? Because he's had his knees reconstructed basically because of the ACLs. Why would you not target his legs? I like the oblique kicks, the fight. Why on earth has no one been thinking about doing that when against him? I know he's hard to hit, but I would probably go for them. I know he caught a couple of kicks that Dillashaw was throwing during the fight, and he got a couple of great takedowns. But I think that it was something, maybe even get him against the cage, throw knees on the thighs, stuff like that to break it down earlier on. Just slow Dillashaw down, slow Cruz down. But that's just me looking at it from my perspective when I look at the fight.
Yeah, no, and I know I said earlier that I don't like to comment on things like that because I don't do it, but I'm going to contradict myself. Cruz's legs are skinny.
Yeah.
Not even just the reconstructive. I mean, he should have been attacking him the whole fight. It would have been if he would have landed the leg kicks he landed at the end of the fight, at the start of the fight, how would Cruz have continued? I mean, with that foot injury and all that, I mean, that should have been a part of the game plan 100%. And I like what you said. No one's talking about Dillashaw losing in his new camp. Maybe that's his camp's fault. Maybe he should have been at Team Alpha Male. Maybe that would have been their game plan there. I bet Uriah Faber's laughing, going, hey, that would have been our game plan. So definitely, that's worth noting. That is one of the best points I've heard after this fight. No one is mentioning about him losing in his new camp, and I think that needs to be talked about. That is an important factor in this fight now, and it's an important factor going forward.
Because he's obviously training at his new camp, but then he goes to Dwayne Ludwig, so he goes between two places. How much is Ludwig and this camp, the new camp, how much are they concurring with each other, how much are they talking about game plans and agreeing on stuff, so that when he does stuff with Ludwig, when he goes away and he's drilling it there as well, is he drilling it the same thing and they working together? You know, there's a little thing there that we won't know about and they won't probably talk about and it won't come to light, but there's little things like that, because Matt Brown and Clay Guida have went there, haven't they, as well, I think, to this Muscle Farm gym? Yes, they have.
And is Neil Magny out there? I might be wrong.
I'm not sure. I know Clay Guida and Matt Brown went, but Neil Magny went. Oh, Neil Magny's next fight, Hector Lombard. Holy moly!
That's gonna be a nice one. I'm excited.
I am. I love that massive reach against the short reach.
I love Neil Magny. I'm just a Neil Magny fan. That's just one of, like you mentioned, you watch as a fanboy. You know, I'm a fanboy of Neil Magny just because that's a guy that goes out there. He wants to fight. I mean, I think he broke the record for most fights in a 2-year span, 5 and 5. From 2014 to 2015,
yeah.
And in that span, he lost one fight. I mean, and that was a hard fight for him. Maya put on a BJJ clinic out there, which if anyone that needs notes on how to move around, that was definitely one to watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
But Lombard, I mean, that's a big time fight. He got his fight overturned. He hasn't fought in a while. It's going to be over a year.
Yeah. And
Magny's hot. I mean, he has fought, like I just said, he broke the record for most fights in 2-year span. Lombard has fought twice in the last 2 years. That's an interesting matchup, but it's also interesting. I mean, Lombard, he's not a slouch at all. I mean, he might not have fought a lot, but he's a pretty good fighter, man. So I would not be surprised at all if he came out there and impressed.
He impressed me in his fight against Josh Berkman with the striking at Lombard, because when he was fighting Berkman, I was thinking, I could see him steamrolling Berkman here. But in the first round, he was getting the better of Berkman. But what he did do was he calmed himself down and was like, I'm not going to knock this guy out. This could be a decision. And he was so patient with his striking. And he picked his shots a lot better. And he just knew, he thought, I need to get 3 rounds in. I'm going to do a 3-round fight here. I need to pick it carefully. Because Lombard is just, he's muscle on muscle. He's got muscle where there shouldn't be. And I think he knows that he's only got so much in his gas tank. A 5-round fight would probably ruin Hector Lombard. But the Magny fight, what I like about it is, because it's going to be on in Australia, it's probably going to be it'll be in a big cage, a large cage, which favours Magny, because he gets that room to use his footwork, use the range, and just pick away at Hector Lombard as well. If it was in a smaller cage, Lombard could probably bring that grappling aspect into it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a good fight for sure. I like what you said about Neil Magny being able to use his range. He's really good at doing that. He backs away.
Yeah. He
picks people apart. So I didn't even think about the big cage. You've been naming things all day, making me happy. Things to think about that I can, go and act like I said them soon. I'll go talk to the missus tonight. I'll be like, Neil Magny might do good in Australia tonight with that bigger cage. And she'll, oh really? Yeah. You never know. So no, I like that. That's going to be a fun fight, though. I like that the UFC has been coming up with some of these good matchups, and there's some good fights coming up in 2016 for the 100th time. I mean, everyone needs to get excited. This is going to be one of the best years, and you can go on record saying this for me. This is going to be one of the best years the UFC has for fight cards. There is going to be some absurd. I mean, let's think about one we haven't mentioned really. I mean, I mentioned John Jones because I'm from Ithaca and all that up there. John Jones, Daniel Cormier is going to be a freaking huge fight, huge card.
Yes.
I mean, that might be bigger than Aldo McGregor, because that is right there. That's real beef too.
Yes.
They do not like each other.
Oh.
And I mean, John Jones every single day, I think he's tweeting something about him. Daniel Cormier is saying something about him, and they're building up their fight. And it hasn't been officially announced yet, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think so.
No, it hasn't.
But John Jones keeps tweeting 13 weeks,
yes.
April 23rd. So it looks like April 23rd will be their fight.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I mean, this is going to be awesome. I'm pumped for 2016. I'm sure a lot of us will be talking a lot about some of these fight cards coming up.
I honestly see John Jones finishing Daniel Cormier.
Me too.
I do. I feel we're going to see a John Jones. It's going to be an animal that he's full-time training. He's getting his head screwed on now. He's not jacked up. He's not dosed up off his tits on whatever he's throwing up his nose. You know, he's being serious.
He's not in Ithaca going to the bars either, which is good. He's not there anymore. That's a good sign.
It's a good sign, and I think, do you know what? It's a good sign, but do you know what? If you're in the light heavyweight division, it's a scary sign. If you're in the light heavyweight, you got to think, crap. You know,
he's back.
He's
back.
You know, Daniel Cormier, as much as he likes to sit there and talk about this, that, and the other, Daniel Cormier, you lost by a mile against John Jones. It wasn't even a fight. It wasn't even close. Like, I don't understand. He looked like the
Olympic wrestler too. That's the worst part.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch. And Daniel Cormier keeps hanging on to that one time he took John Jones down. You were like, yeah, because it was near the end of the round of the fight, and John Jones was probably like, bollocks, I'm not arsed.
Yeah, and I think at that point in time, he was whispering stuff in his ears, and then he told him to suck it right after he beat him. John Jones was just having fun at that point.
Yeah. You know, when he patted him on the head at the end and stuff like that. It was amazing. I do see John Jones just tearing through him, and I think once he gets through Daniel Cormier, the only fight left is Anthony Johnson, and Anthony Johnson again. Oh, Anthony Johnson, Ryan Bader. You know, I love that matchup. But
I love that matchup as well. That'll be a good one.
Oh, that's a good one. And then we haven't even spoke about Tim Means and Donald Cerrone.
Oh, I love Cowboy, and that's a good card too. I actually like that Pittsburgh card.
You know,
is
good, yeah.
That's near me. We got some good fights on there. You got there's who's fighting the bantamweight fight in there? There's a stacked one. Lineker and who's he fighting?
Oh, Cody Gardon.
Oh my God, that's a great fight right there too. There's some stacked fights on there. I think Bermudez is on it fighting. Who is he fighting? Kawajiri, however you say it.
Oh, Kawajiri, yeah. Kawajiri.
Yep, they're fighting. There's another fight I'm missing, a 185 fight. I'm not going to remember it right now.
It's too many fights to remember.
I want to say, I'm going to get Brunson. Is Brunson on it?
Oh, Derek Brunson, yeah. Derek Brunson might be on it. He might be.
Yeah, I think he's on it. Brunson versus, what's his name? I know Brunson. I think Brunson is on it. I can't believe I can't remember right now. It's going to make me mad, but that's a good card right there, and that's another free one. I love when Donald Cerrone's on free cards. I mean, his last fight was depressing. There was a lot of hype for that one, and that went real fast. So I think if I'm Tim Means, I'm not happy right now, knowing that Donald Cerrone's coming off that loss, and he is pissed off. He's coming to take my head off.
He is. I think, though, it's good to see them both at the not cutting weight. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they fare, the pair of them at not cutting weight. You know,
yeah, that'll be nice. You know, and the IV band's a big thing with like what you said. And you mentioned it before, but I think we'll see a lot of fighters moving up like this. And I mean, you look at here's another fight we can start talking about. Johnny Hendricks coming up against Stephen Thompson.
Yes,
I mean, Johnny Hendricks is a guy that you say, hey, he should move up, and now he's working with Lou Giordano, nutrition. Yeah. Working on his weight, so I heard that he's doing good, so it's going to be interesting to see how he looks coming in with that new weight. But that's another look at that fight. That's a great fight in itself too, and that opens up that division. I mean, you got Woodley weight in there, which I think this is what annoys me. I do not. I've been on record. I've said it. I think I said it on the Parting Shot podcast. I said it in a lot of other places. I'm sorry, Tyron Woodley. You do not deserve a title shot whatsoever.
I don't.
You have done nothing. In my mind, to show me that you earned a title shot. I want him to take on, I know my man James Lynch said Damian Maia, which I like that fight too, but I want to see him take on the winner of Thompson and Hendricks. I mean, that's a great fight right there too.
It is. I don't think Willie's done it. He talked about the fight, the fact that he finished Stun Gun in the first round, but I keep feel like saying to him, I say, look, the reason why you won is because Stun Gun threw a spinning back fist, and when you threw your counter strike, you hit him in the back of the head. You hit him. It wasn't an illegal shot because he was turning, so it's not illegal. But the fact is, you rocked him in the back of the head. That's why he got the wobbly legs and fell down. I said I don't say it's a lucky shot, but it was just your luck that you got him in the back of the head, and that's how you won so quick. I don't think the fight would have possibly went that way, because if you look at the way Rory McDonald just picked him apart. Like, Rory McDonald just picked him apart like pulled pork. It wasn't even a fight. He was just, Rory McDonald was just having fun with him.
Like pulled pork. I like it.
It was just like, you get Woodley, you get him past that first round, you start just putting the volume up on him. Like, he talks about the Carlos Condit win, and you're like, well, he did blow his ACL. and you kind of like, look, you got 2 wins against 2 good names, but they weren't. It's not like you went there and you finished it. It was just the luck that you had on the night. I think I want to see Tyron Woodley actually finish an opponent in a good fashion. Oh,
and his win over.
Sorry, go on, buddy.
My headphones are kind of messed up here.
Oh, sorry, Derek Brunson.
A little messed up. I hear it.
Derek Brunson, to remind you, is fighting.
Was not impressive whatsoever.
It's Canario who Brunson's fighting. Is it?
Hear you right now.
Can you hear me, buddy?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Alright, I got you now. It was like really staticky, and I could hear. I still do. I hear myself.
Oh, it's probably because I've got it on loudspeaker for the microphones and stuff. Sorry about that, sir.
That's fine.
Yeah, Derek Brunson's fighting. Is it Canario? It's like Roan Canario. Is it pronounced?
Canario, yes. All right,
yeah.
so I knew he was on that. That's gonna be a good fight.
It is indeed, and you've also got like you say, what's the other guy fighting on that weight? Brendan Thatcher's on the card as well against the guy.
Thatch.
Against the guy's name who I can't pronounce. I'll tell you that right now. It's a long name, and it's really, I'm not going to pronounce it. It's Sayar Bad Had Yours Zada. There you go. That's about as good. Yeah.
Good enough. Works for me.
But
there's another guy on that card too that I'm a big fan of, Jonathan Webb. He's a guy that trains down here in Philly, and he goes out with Cowboy with Paul Felder. He's Paul Felder's teammate.
Ah, right, okay.
He's good. He lost a split decision to Kyle Noak in Australia that he clearly didn't lose. I have no clue how he won that. That was a robbing in itself too. But Webb's a good prospect in the UFC.
And you've got a handful of good fights. Like got Lauren Murphy, who's had a rough time as well. She's had some bad decisions against herself in the women's division as well. She's had a rough time, but hey, I tell you what, I am super happy about Miesha Tate and Holly Holm. I'm glad the UFC didn't mess around and make Holly Holm wait.
I'm so excited for that too, and I don't think Ronda Rousey deserves a title shot. I mean, I understand that she was the champion for so long. She's the greatest women's fighter of all time. Blah 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 blah. She got beat up. That's the end of the story. I mean, there's no making excuse for it. She got beat up in that fight. She did not one bit deserve an immediate title shot. So I'm happy that they're getting Holm Tate going. And the UFC is probably a little nervous because they want Holm to win to set up that big one, but
yes.
I think Holly Holm will handle her pretty well.
Yeah, the thing is, I feel for me, if Tate doesn't win, I could probably see her retire because I can't see her getting another title shot again. And why else would you bother being there if you're not going to get that belt?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think she threatened to retire when they weren't giving her the Rousey title fight after they told her she'd get it. So I could see that for sure.
Yeah, that's a hell of a matchup. Again, the women's bantamweight division, the women's division, like Joanna Jędrzejczyk against Gloria Gadella, they're doing the tough series. I love JJ. Love that woman fighting.
Yeah, it's going to be a good fight too. I just think that one big thing for women's MMA was Holly Holm winning. I mean, Ronda Rousey was great for the sport. You can never take away what she did for it. But Holly Holm beating her shows that the divisions, they're evolving. There's some other people in women's MMA other than just Ronda Rousey. And the women that you just mentioned right there, I mean, they're helping too as well get women's MMA out there. Yeah,
definitely. I think I can see Joanna beat Claudia only because her takedown defense has improved dramatically since that fight. And I think Claudia is going to find it a lot tougher to get JJ down this time round. So I think if it stays standing, I find it really hard to find someone who's going to stop JJ on the feet.
JJ's a beast, man.
Yeah. I tell you, if there's a fight that you want to watch, the fight that got her into the UFC was against Rosie Sexton.
I've never watched it. Should I watch it?
Right. Rosie Sexton fought in the UFC at 135. Now, it was a weight class above what she was fighting, but she was a British fighter. The UFC, they had her against Jessica Andrade in Manchester, UFC Manchester. And then when Rosie Sexton got cut from the UFC, she went back to Cage Warriors and made a fight on Cage Warriors against Joanna Jędrzejczyk at 125. And I was sitting there, and I was doing. We did a podcast for it, all the fights coming up and stuff, and I watched it. It was a brutal mauling. Like, when I say a mauling, it was scary. Jens Pulver was commentating with Josh Palmer and Bradley Wharton. The three of them were commentating, and even Jens Pulver saying, I can't believe how loud the punch, like when she connects, the thud it makes. And I was thinking, I wonder, it can't be that crazy. And it was. It's insane. You can watch it on YouTube. Honestly, I'll send you the link, my friend. It's insane.
Yeah, definitely send me that link because I want to watch that.
I tell you what, there's a guy called Marcin Voracek who was on The Ultimate Fighter. This one just gone. He got to the semi-finals, I think. He was fighting on the same card that night. He was telling me how he was in the back, and he said, "I've never heard a woman hit the pads so hard." Like he said,
I like it. That's awesome.
I was like, "That's what you like to
Good
hear."
for that. Those are good compliments for her. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was beautiful to see, and yeah, that's a hell of a fight. But man, like I say, mate, that's just the UFC. Obviously, there's other promotions around to talk about, which have got some hell of a fights coming up. You've got James McSweeney, former UFC boy. He's fighting for the heavyweight title at KSW against the holder Beerhot. Oh, what the hell's his name? Wolf, Beerwolf or something like that his name is, or something like that. I can't remember what his name is now. Wolf something. How bad's that? I forget his name. But he's fighting for the title, and there's a handful of good fights around the world that are going on, but people don't know about. Cage Warriors is actually looking to come back in April. Graham Bolan has been dropping hints and messages about it. So that's something to keep an eye out for as well.
Hello?
Can you hear me now, buddy?
It's like so weird again. I don't know why.
It's probably just me being weird.
Can you hear me?
I blame technology and myself. Well, just blame me. I can hear you.
That sounds good. It's
Yeah.
like I can hear you, and then like it cuts out, and then I can hear myself instead of you. I don't know why. It's being weird, but
we'll blame me
yeah,
or technology.
another good card coming up. I mean, I'm not a real big fan of Bellator, but I do like. The Chris Honeycutt Paul Bradley fight I'm pretty pumped for. I just like Chris Honeycutt a lot.
Yeah, there's some good fights. Yeah, Bellator, touch and go with some of their cards. It's really peculiar. It's frustrating. I'll say that. Sorry, it's frustrating. But then again, I think he's trying to build up a roster. Is the problem? Scott Coker is. He's trying to slowly build up a roster. He's got the relationship with Shamrock FC, which is an interesting one.
I am a big fan of Shamrock FC. I know Jesse Finney pretty well, and he's a good guy. So I interviewed some of Shamrock's fighters. I mean, a good name for their Bobby Volker. Look at him. I mean, he just won his fourth fight since his UFC release in Shamrock, and he's an absolute beast. He might get his shot back in the UFC.
Yep.
But I like Bellator when they do serious fight cards. I mean, I know it's real fun and stuff. Ken Shamrock, Gracie, yeah, it's cool. I mean, Kimbo Slice. I don't get too excited for those cards. I don't know why. Maybe I'm different. A lot of people think it's so fun and cool, but
I don't. I'm too much of a purist.
It's too fun for me. Then I think a lot of fighters take this sport so seriously, and then to see stuff like it's not serious. I mean, it's all to make money. It's not for real fighting.
No, it is prize fighting. It's all about the money making, and it's strange. What throws me off is it's Viacom that own Bellator, and they're absolutely loaded. So it's not like they need that desperate cash. So I think why they putting those matches on, I just don't. I don't know if it's maybe to get people's attention, to get clicks, to help people maybe build up the momentum in Bellator again. I think Scott Coker should maybe rebrand Bellator, rename it, kind of start fresh with it, which would probably help.
Anything that would help. I'm a big fan of Scott Coker too. I liked him. Scott Coker. We had a real fun interview with Scott Coker. Funny story about Scott Coker. The Pitbull. Who'd Pitbull fight that he just lost to? Will Brooks card. Do you remember that? The one that just was up.
Yeah, he just lost.
Yeah,
he.
I was whoever it was. It's not that big of a deal, but the media call. I was in on the media call, and I asked Pitbull. I said, win here. I mean, you beat everyone. What's next? And he went off on how he's going to beat up Will Brooks, and then him and Will Brooks started getting in an argument, saying how they're going to fight. And then I interviewed Scott Coker the next day, and we joked around. He's like, "You made me a bunch of money, man. If that fight ends up happening, you can come out and sit cage side." He was funny. He's a good guy.
I'd say Will Brooks is a talented dude. That man, that Will Brooks.
He is.
He's got a lot of potential. I'm quite excited about that kid. I'm looking forward to this year.
I like Will Brooks. He's got good marketability too. He's got a big mouth, and that's good.
Yes.
You need that sometimes.
It is, yeah. And I think Scott Coker sees that with him and realizes it, and I think it's a good thing that he's got him. And I like
it. Will Brooks is a beast.
Yeah, and I think with Josh Thompson at the Bellator as well kind of helps as well. Josh Thompson's got that kind of bit of a mouth on him as well, which helps sell things. Obviously, his name does as well.
Yeah, and you got Phil Davis in Bellator.
I know, and crazy. You just don't think about it, do you? But then King Mo's on this hell of a streak as well now.
Yeah,
he's reinvented himself. Oh, it's insane. There's some hell of a. I look forward to what they're going to do next Bellator with this light heavyweight division with some of the guys. They've already done some matchups already, but I'm looking forward to see what goes down. Tito Ortiz, I don't know what they're going to do with him, but he's Tito Ortiz. I'm not sure. It's interesting to see.
It's always fun just watching Tito Ortiz.
Yeah,
no
it is.
What.
It is. Look, Jeremy, I'm going to let you shoot off, my friend. We could talk for hours, to be fair, because I love MMA, and I'm sure there's a lot more fights we could talk about. But what I'll do, Jeremy, is I'll get you back on. We'll get you back on again, buddy, and we'll talk again about other stuff in the future. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me, man. I really had fun. This was a good podcast. It's fun to come on here and just talk MMA. It feels like we're just hanging out, drinking some beers and talking about fighting. That's what it felt like. This is a good time, and I appreciate you having me on, man.
No, that's what I want it to be, man. I want us to be relaxed and chilled out. I tell you, before you go, though, like you say, you do work on pages and sites, etc. Put it all out there, man. Let people know what the hell it all is, where to go, how do they get in touch with you and stuff like that.
Yeah, sounds good. Like I said, I'm the editor at Fansided's Cage Pages. We're at www.cagepages.com. We're part of the Fansided family. We have Fansided helping back us up a little. We're trying to get a little bigger. We're a smaller site as of right now, but we're growing every day. We got some great writers. My other editor with me, Justin Huffman, he's an absolute beast. Good friend of mine. We're doing our work, getting our stuff done. We got some young stud writers. We got Danny Darty, he's a beast. He's a great writer, great young and up and coming writer. He's an Ithaca bomber right now. So Kyle Woody, my old advisor at Ithaca, he'd always say bombers helping bombers. So I'm gonna give him that shout out. And just come check out Cage Pages, man. We have some good stuff. I mean, myself and Justin, we have been knocking down some interviews. Like I said, I just talked to Ben Rothwell. I talked to Travis Brown before the fight. We do some good interviews. We have some good stories. We got some good stuff. So definitely make sure you check it out. And you can find me on Twitter at Jeremy Klump, and that's Klump, Klump. I don't know if you're familiar with the Eddie Murphy, the Nutty Professor of the Klumps, but it's Klump, Klump. So definitely come check us out. Follow me on Twitter for some MMA stuff. And if you're a football fan, like you said you are, I mean, I definitely tweet a lot more about the NFL on weekdays. And then, fight weekends, I'm all about the UFC, MMA,
yeah.
and can't get enough of it. I love talking sports, so definitely come follow me. I always entertain. Someone tweets at me, even if you tell me I'm an idiot, I'll reply. Don't worry. I love talking to anything. I'll ask you why I'm an idiot. I like hearing explanations on things. So
because you said so. Because you said you are an idiot.
Tell me why, though. I had some lady tweet at me the other weekend after the Seahawks lost to the Panthers. I said that they were playing cheap at the end, diving at the offensive lineman's legs of the Panthers when they were taking a knee.
Yes.
And she was yelling at me. She's like, "You act like they care. Why would you reply? They don't care." And I was like, "And you act like I care. Why are you replying to me? Like, what? You're yelling at me for tweeting that I'm mad that the Seahawks did that, but then you're doing the same thing. It's even worse. Like, what? It makes no sense." But I love that stuff, man. Social media has helped me, helped everyone in this industry. It's been a lot of fun being able to definitely interact. I mean, you and I, we got hooked up through social media to do this, which is awesome. So check me out on Twitter for sure. Check out Cage Pages. Check out NFL Spin Zone if you're a football fan. It's NFLSpinZone.com. That's part of the Fansided family as well. And anyone out there, if you want to have me on your podcast like this, I'm definitely down to do it, and I'm definitely looking forward to coming back on here. So I appreciate your time, man.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much. So you stay online, so we'll have a quick little mention about something afterwards about this. But yeah, thank you for coming on. Pleasure speaking with you, and we're going to get you back on. We're going to talk again, mate. It's been great crack.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, man. Take care, and hope everything goes well.